It's I've never plugged a microphone into Zoom before.
Oh, really? It sounds pretty good. It sounds better than, usual.
Yeah, that's the cleanest Zoom audio of any. Like with my mom, I'll be like, "Hey, Mom."
Man,
I have a 5-year-old who's gonna try and barge in every 3 minutes. Yeah, he's in the room. How's it going? How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for being on the podcast. Devon Williams, the great singer-songwriter. And let's just get into it, man. Where are you right now?
I'm with my family, my wife and my daughter and my dog, and we're in Copenhagen.
Oh, cool.
Denmark.
How'd you end up there?
It's complicated. We live in LA, and over the summer everyone was indoors, locked at home, and
right.
It was really hot, and our daughter we couldn't play with other kids, and I was like feeling antisocial, I think, but we sort of decided that my wife's family is here in Copenhagen, so we decided to come here, and like the cases were, it's not a very interesting answer, but the cases were much lower.
Okay.
And this government, this society's policy is that kids should be kids.
Right.
And kids should be allowed to play with each other, and kids aren't required to wear masks up until the age of 10. And so we just were like, let's go and give that a shot.
Yeah, what is the general vibe over there? Is it like America where people are like, "Fuck you, I'm not wearing a fucking mask"? Like, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, it's kind of aggressive over here.
No, I mean, I'm not like a cultural expert, but I feel like there's a society here that functions as a whole. That's like the thing about Denmark.
Yeah, totally.
And so people go, oh, this is for the greater good.
Cool.
And so they listen. They have like I wouldn't say authority, but they listen to their experts, and they go, oh, okay. And this is like when Trump was
yeah
here. And so
at large,
he was just like, misinformation. And so people here just go, okay, that's the rule. That sucks.
Yeah.
But okay, we'll stay inside. And so we've actually been on lockdown since Christmas.
Wow.
And so like grocery stores are open and like takeout's open, but like, I've just like never in my life been so excited to go to a museum.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. So how long do you think you'll stay there? Just until the end of the pandemic, or you're liking the vibe?
I don't know. I'm born and raised in LA, and so I miss LA, and I miss like my family and my friends there. But there's something like wholesome happening here.
Right.
In this country where they like value a work-life balance as like very healthy, and so I really like, it's something I'm not used to. I'm used to like, where you're from, LA, born and raised?
I'm in Santa Barbara, just a little north of LA.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, even California, like the vibe is like hustle and busy and like distraction, and that's like who I am, like how I was grown.
Yeah.
And so I feel like being here, I'm just like, wait, I don't understand. And so I'm like, I feel like I'm either going to become a different person, or I'm just going to be like, I hate it here. I'm going to become
totally
a Kardashian.
There's something nice too, like about being around family. Like, no, it's like, I saw this on another show, but like this idea that we're supposed to, like, there's pride in raising your kids by yourself. It's like, we're like the first iteration of humans to like do that. Like usually there's a tribe of there's a big tribe and everyone takes care of each other, but for some reason in the last, I don't know how many years, like maybe how many decades, that's been like, no, it's like prideful to be able to take care of your kids yourself, which that's not true. It's a lot of work.
It's hard to know like what's right, I obviously think my daughter she's A-okay,
right.
And I think the world of her, so I think like, oh, she's turning out fine. So I think what we're doing is working. But yeah, I think, people shouldn't be with each other 24/7. People shouldn't be like a child should not be. I don't want to get into that. I don't want to get into that.
Well, you
Like,
know,
I think I want her to experience things. I
right,
want her
right.
to get out in the world and do stuff.
Yeah, well, the idea of fatherhood as I'm getting older is just becoming more and more of a reality. Can you talk a little bit about fatherhood in the realms of like being in a band and trying to still make records? Because I'm trying to wrap my head around trying to balancing my rockin' quote unquote rock and roll life with
Right.
fatherhood.
I think like, and not to be too like on the nose, but like I think that's what my last record was about.
Okay,
Was because she was born in 2015, and that's sort of like where this album came from. Because you, I, people like us, like we sort of like daydream about music and like have this idea of like my music, my EP, my
right, yeah. What's
like
next?
I talk. Like I also like my friend Alan and I, we talk in these terms of like my next record, but like truth is probably like 20 people care about my next record. Like
Right.
we just like live in these fantasies, and that's just, I mean, that's just how I was conditioned. Like I grew up listening to music. I still buy
Right.
records all the time. And so I'm just like, I think that's my language of talking about music. And so anyway, for this record, it just like came, I just like had to, I think I just like felt this pull between the like the daydream and the reality check. Like,
Yeah.
like I'd love to just like chill at home and like write songs all day. But then first it's like, well then who, like, what are you for a contributor for society? And then it's also like, I wanted to have a kid. And so we have a kid, and it's like, oh, do I really want to like go hide away in a room and like not be a part of that? So it's like, it's this constant thing. It's a balance. Yeah. And then something also interesting sort of was when my dad passed away, which was like right before this record came out. There's like this sense of like, I saw my relationship with my daughter through my own relationship with my father. And we had a great relationship.
Right.
And so everything is like, I try not to be too like out of body experience looking at
That's
it. But
okay.
sometimes you're just like, I'm with my daughter and I'm just like, this is a great moment that you'll remember forever. It's like,
Right.
you don't
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
to, you don't need to think like that all the time. And so it gets kind of like, wait, what am I doing? I need to zap into the moment.
Do you feel like you understand your parents more now that you are a parent?
No, but there is that thing. No.
Okay.
No, I don't.
That's why they did this. That's why they acted this way when I did that. And like, oh, okay, maybe I wasn't just staying out past curfew. I could potentially have been hurt, and that's what they were scared of. Like,
I don't think I'm there yet, but like, I have that thing of, oh, they're just like people. They're just like these normal people that, had a kid, and like we hold our parents or these people up on a pedestal, but they're just like trying to figure things out. And so I sometimes think about like, when you're a kid and you look at your parents, you're like, you think everything's about this family world. And I sometimes think about like, man, how much stuff were like my mom and my dad going through at this time when all I cared about was like Ninja Turtles or whatever.
Totally.
And that's like, I don't know, that's life.
So you were born and raised in LA. What part of LA were you living in?
I was born in Westchester. And I lived there until I moved to Hollywood. I moved around to go to school and that stuff, but my permanent residence has always been like LA or
Yeah. And how have you seen like how have you seen LA change and grow if you've been there so long, at least like trying to start a band to when the pay to play movement was like taking over, and now I feel like we've gotten past that, and like how have you seen it change?
I mean, I'm such a really bad I don't know.
Okay.
All I can think of is
where did you play? Yeah, where did you play when you were younger?
I mean, I feel like I'm sort of older. I mean, I'm almost 40 now. And I'm like the places. Well, first of all, I think you can play at any place. Like, right. I much prefer, like, I much I don't know. Yeah, I much prefer. I like have to be really careful because I have like no filter sometimes, and I have to
That's
remember
okay.
not to make people mad. But I like I'll play anywhere, and I like really don't like venues that are like you say like pay to play or like what's
Right.
your draw, what's your following, like that is my like antithesis. So places like what are they called? Spaceland. What's that called?
Oh yeah,
Satellite.
the Satellite. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was a
those
cool
are like
place.
yeah. To me, that's like that was like the epitome of like that's not for me. That's
Yeah.
like I think like I'd much rather play at like a place like Ham and Eggs or whatever in
Oh yeah.
downtown, where it's just like let's just play music and or like love song bar. I don't know if you know, but like
hmm
just like little places where you can just like do your thing. But so growing up, I think I also had that. Like one of my first shows that I ever played was like in a like place in Westchester called the Coffee Cat, which
Cool.
is which is like a cat
Yeah.
named cafe. And so um, venues, yeah. I mean, when you talk about like the city, like we lived in Highland Park,
hmm
and like that's a place I've been like recording music since I was like 17.
Oh wow.
And so like I'm 39, so that's like kind of a long time. And I do see how much it's changed. There's
Right.
like so many coffee shops in Highland
Right.
Park.
How many
And
coffee shops does that area need, really?
yeah, it's like you just need like one place to get a coffee.
yeah.
And
It
it's
used
funny,
to,
'cause you actually like just need a coffee that's like a non-pretentious, like you're better off getting coffee at like McDonald's than you are at like
seriously, it's
uh,
cheaper, and they had Cafe de Leche, and now there's like a million of those places. Not
yeah,
not that exact name brand, but like you go in Figueroa, every other freaking stop is a coffee place.
yeah. What is yeah? It's and you're just like, oh my god, where can I get coffee? Like so
Yeah,
many places. And I
and
mean, don't get yeah.
and also I see so many empty like random stores. I'm like, who shops here? But it's all nice. It looks beautiful, like nice clothes, and it's all like very curated and very stylized. But I'm just like, I would never fucking
Yeah.
shop here. I don't think any of the people who live in this neighborhood would honestly shop here. Like, yeah,
Yeah. And you're like, oh, it's a beautiful storefront, but like,
yeah,
how many jumpsuit options do we need in a different color? But like, I appreciate to an extent like the entrepreneurship
right.
of like, there's a storefront, let's do that, let's go blah. But then it's just you do have to think like, does the world need me?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like me and my wife sometimes go like, what's the big picture? Is the big picture to like start a business and like, or to be your own boss or whatever? And then we're like, well, if we did start a business, like what is our business?
Yeah.
And we're just like, if you have to wonder what your business is, you probably shouldn't start a business because you're not offering anything. You're just filling up a business. So,
Yeah.
you know,
And honestly, being in a band is like starting a business, like in the worst way. If you think of it in that
it's
way,
the
like
worst.
it's the worst way to think about that. But like, and it's like, oh, you don't make a lot of money, and it's a traveling business. You have to like, it's like a sideshow. And we're just like there trying to sell door to door, venue to venue. Like, here's my product. Do you like it? And then people,
That is it is the worst. Like I
yeah,
have a friend we were talking about like he's an artist and I was talking to him about like doing an independent release or a self release and we were just going back and forth about it and he was just like this like the music business is made now for musicians, not for music listeners. You know what I mean?
right.
Like, and that to me, I was just like, oh man, he's so right. Like, I'm just, it's pretty bad. So sometimes I'm just like, maybe you just record music and just like hang on to it for a minute. Cause like now it's like, I'm not trying to be like, it's a bad time for the music industry. Cause I just like don't care about that.
Right.
But I think like, I don't want to like pimp my music. I don't want to make a Facebook's like Instagram story.
Right.
Like I don't want to do like any of that.
Yeah.
Like I cannot keep up. Like, you know,
What when you were a kid, what did you think being in a band was supposed to be about? I thought Chris Cohen asked me this question, and now I think about it all the time. Like, yeah, what did I think this was gonna be? Because it's not what it is.
Yeah, I think I think it's just like this glorified sense of like, I don't know if this is true. So let's just start here. I think it's just like you're playing music and people are listening to you.
Right.
Like that's what I thought it was. Like when I first like was like, oh, music, it was because I liked like Poison and Guns N' Roses. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then obviously like your idea changes, and I went on tour when I'm 17, and I'm just like, oh, this is cool. Like touring is cool, and writing music is cool. But I think it's different now. Like playing music and being a musician is like a different thing now. Like everybody thinks you got to be like a thing, like a social media, like
you have to be heavy on the social media. You have to create content, which is a word I've been talking a lot about in this podcast, like content versus art. What is it? What's the differences? Like
I can't provide content. Like I just I can't. Like I don't know. Like I'm really bad at trying too hard, and I'm just like, oh, if I try to do anything, it's just gonna be trying too hard. So I just don't do anything at all.
Man, so you went on...
And that's working out really well for me.
So you went on tour, your first tour when you were 17. Was it your project, or were you just playing guitar for someone else?
It was my band when I was 17, and it was a punk band. And we went on tour, and it was...
How far did you go?
No, sorry, I was 18. And so it was right after like high school. And we went around the country, and it was cool. It was cool. It was the first time I had left... Not the first time I left, but it was the first time I had seen the country, and I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, that must have been mind-blowing, man. I didn't really start touring until I was like 20 or 21, and even then I felt like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. The first tour was like, it was like pretty well put together, and then every tour after that was like, it fell further and further apart until like, I'm sure like my last tour, which was probably like the most shambled tour of like, which I don't even... What happened on that tour?
That's the thing. I don't know anything specific about it. I just know that probably each tour has gotten progressive.
Yeah, totally.
But I also like, I'm really stubborn, and I'm just like, that was great. I'm going to do it again.
Totally. What makes like a successful tour in your eyes?
Oh man. Successful tour. I think the boring answer is like probably to reach as many people as possible and break even.
Right.
But for me, I think like I would be happy on a tour where like some of my favorite tours were again like with like very close friends who are just like, sure, I'll go on tour with you for a month for free.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I promise we'll split whatever money we make. And so I've had like very, very close friends and some not close friends like go on tour with me, and that to me have been the best experiences.
Right.
where I've traveled with my best friend Alan, and we just go like on walks before the show, or like get a beer after the show, and or crash somewhere that we don't know, and it's like really fun to just talk on someone's couch all night. I guess like having those like stories and experiences, like one night I went, so we were in Pennsylvania, Alan and I, and these kids were like, we're going to put on a show for you in our living room. And so they put on a show, and it was very nice of them. And there was like 7-8 people there. And then those 7-8 people wanted to like party and drink and stuff. And so I'm like sort of a downer, and was just like, I'm tired. I'm going to go to bed. And they're like, fine, go sleep on this couch. And then my friend Alan was like, I think one of the guys is kind of hot, so I'm going to stay up and party with the guys.
Yeah.
And just hang, because I think it's fun. And I was like, okay, cool. And so I went to bed, and I remember like I woke up in the middle of the night, and Alan was just like puking all over me.
Oh no.
And he's like he's my guy. And so I was just like, oh man, are you okay? And he's just like vomiting. And then obviously he just like went to bed, and I was just like, good night, Alan. And then I just remember like getting the sleeping bag, putting it in the water. It was like, but in retrospect, I don't even think he really apologized. But
Yeah.
that was a good story. So that made that tour good.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I was thinking about too the other day. Like when I think back on good tours, I don't ever like, or if I bring up a memory to my band, I don't bring up, remember that show, remember that song, how good that song was. It was always like, remember when we stopped at that random diner and like,
Yeah,
it got held gunpoint, or like, remember when the van broke down? Like, it's always those stories where they were bad in the moment but funny later, versus the moments that were great in the moment. And then, you know, I don't really think back on the sets. Oh, what a great set! I remember everything that happened in that set.
So maybe you and I are bad musicians, not musicians, but like we're bad content providers.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
we're just like, I mean, obviously I love playing music, but also I'm like, I can do that. I can play music
That's
at
fun.
home.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. But it's like going out there. And also I'm like a goofster. So I like things that I like and remember are like when things are like silly and stupid. And
totally.
Yeah. So
I always ask people this, but what's your role on tour? Are you the driver? Are you passenger seat? Are you in the back taking a nap? That's usually the
no, I think I'm like the control freak, controlling like contrarian, and I'm also like, I don't know, maybe tell me if this is the same for you, but is there always and this is like not okay, but isn't there always someone on tour who's like the enemy or like the bad guy, or like the punching bag, or like the, oh man, we got to get rid of, you know.
I've definitely have had tours like that where it's like, you know, there's always one person who feels a little out, but then it doesn't last long, because it's like after that tour, it's like, I don't know if I could do another one with that guy, and then you get like a
but then I also think like that, and then you go like, the next tour is going to be so much better because, you know, Wayne's not going to be there, and the music's going to be so much better. But
oh my god,
I mean, come to think of it, sorry, once I'm talking about experiences, like one of the last tours that we did with like after we did the album Euphoria, which is the same tour I met my wife. That was like me, Wayne, Bill, Marty, and Johnny. Like that was the best. That was the best tour.
Yeah,
and
where all the personalities clicked.
Yeah, and yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. For me, but there were like, those were the times where like the music was right for us, like in that like release, you know, like where we all felt like kind of like, oh, like, I don't know how to describe it. It's that moment of tension where you're like, as an artist, where you're like, I don't want to say that. But it just felt right. Like the music felt right, and the chemistry was like awesome. And then like the personalities were like just like off enough that it made everything like a little funny. Like Bill would say something to someone at the venue, and then we'd sort of get in trouble, and then we're like, oh, that's funny. And then, so things like that. Like I have that need in me to just like be a little bit of a contrarian all the time.
Right.
And so that group of people was like very much spoke to my my like
I think I may have saw you on that tour. Did you play Santa Barbara during, you know, because I love that song Revelations, and I think that's definitely
that's my song.
Yeah, I love that track, man. Like, I think you played Santa Barbara on that tour? Did you? Or I saw you around that time.
But I love Santa Barbara.
Nice.
You guys have the best dog beach.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I forget what it's called, but the dog beach is the best beach.
Yeah, you just let them go wild.
I love it.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I feel like
did we play with Jacuzzi Boys?
Something like that, or maybe did you open for Tennis? No, I can't remember.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I'm trying to think. Well, either way, I remember seeing you at that show, and then that's how I became a fan at that show.
And here we are.
On Zoom, on the internet. Yeah.
Finally.
Finally.
That's
can
cool.
can we talk about that record though? I really love that record. And I really love how big that record sounds. Like, when did you record it? How did you record it? Why does it sound so big? Do you like making big records? I'm piling on questions. Take your
I
time.
don't. Well, it's funny because I was thinking about that record today because I was trying to figure out because I'm like trying to do this like do another like live stream thing, and I was like, well, what songs can I play? And so I was thinking about like songs I don't play, and then I was listening to a couple songs from that to be like, oh, I haven't played that song in a while, and there I don't know what I didn't record it in any special way. In fact, I think it was like there were like just a lot of guitar tracks. There was I think I recorded a lot of instruments at home, bass, acoustic, recorded the drums in the studio. I think it's just like a matter of like stacking a bunch of stuff and then, you know, somehow like editing it all together so like things aren't like actually stepping on each other. Cause you know, I wouldn't play like 8 guitar tracks at the same time. It would be like 8 guitar tracks, like weaving in and out. You know, Wayne would send me his parts or do his parts. And then like Marty would send me his stuff. And then maybe like one of the things that helped the sound of that record was, well, definitely were the mixers of it, which was Dave Carswell and John Collins. And so mostly Dave, like, I think he just like has that touch. So he mixed the last couple records and he just like has, I don't know. I try not to ask why.
So you're just sending them these massive files and you're like, make something of, sorry, I sent you so many files. And they're pulling up this massive project folder like of tracks.
Yeah. I mean, it actually like on the last record got pretty bad where like I tried to have some method to it. I don't know how you record, but I like was doing everything on GarageBand because that's just like so simple.
So easy. Yeah.
I just like Pro Tools, like I just don't like it. Like
fucking
I just
headache.
Yeah.
Such a headache.
And so he was like, you need to get Pro Tools. And I was like, I'll get Pro Tools. And so I would do my GarageBand sessions and then bring all the tracks into Pro Tools. and then we were trying to do like a live, like a shared Pro Tools session. Anyway, he started sending me mixes like a year after I sent him stuff. Maybe not a year, but like we worked on mixes for like 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
And I think he hates me. He does hate me.
Oh no. Okay. So this last record was you recorded it on GarageBand, or are we talking about the Revelations record?
I think they're all sort of started on GarageBand. There's Euphoria, Gilding the Lily, and Tearing the Fabric. I think. Yeah, man, they're all started on GarageBand.
Cool.
Who am I kidding?
Yeah,
I
totally.
also started using Logic because
it's the more mature version.
Yeah.
I like it though. Like we did my last record on Logic, and I was like, damn, I should buy a Mac now because I like GarageBand. But then for video editing and stuff like that, I moved over to Windows just because they're stronger. I can get a stronger PC for cheaper, and the only option is Pro Tools. There's nothing as nice or as easy as GarageBand, and I've been looking all over for a Windows comparable DAW, and it just sucks. And then I tried to teach myself Pro Tools right at the beginning of the pandemic. I was like, this is the year. I have the time to teach myself. And I was like, this sucks. And I learned how to video edit quicker than I did Pro Tools.
Yeah, I've learned. Yeah, I'm the same. Like I've learned Avid. Like
right.
And Pro Tools is still. I'm just like I'm not messing. I think it's because, and you tell me but like when I want to record a song, I'm not going to be like, what's the cleanest way? Like I just want to like plug in and like write a song. Yeah. And so I found Logic. Do you know Nick Hessler? You're from okay. So he has surpassed me as far as like technical like software understanding, instrument sound gear. Like he has way surpassed me. And so I call him and I'm just like, explain Logic to me. Like explain like what's the whatever, like how to line up the beats. Like explain that to me. And he tries so hard, but I'm just like, I'm just too dumb. But he's the one, him and Alan got me into Logic. Because at least you can share. Like I can now bring a session over and record drums with Alan, and then and then bring those sessions back. But I feel like we should do like a Logic commercial or something, and maybe we'll get like Logic
They
shirts.
need to fucking sponsor the podcast. That's what I've been saying. I feel like
the little logo.
Yeah, I will put it there if that's what they want. Give me a laptop. Give me some Logic. Yeah. You and Nick Hessler's a good where to go. You guys are like the kings of chorus, the chorus kings.
Yeah, I think I have to. I mean, so there's the missing trifecta of like me and Nick is the Wayne thing. So this is like the quick story is, hold on, I'm gonna think really long about how to make this a quick story. When I met my buddy Wayne, we were just like, it was kind of like that lame thing where you're just like, hey man, do you like the church? And he's like, yeah, you like the church? Well, yeah, let's like the church. Yeah, honey. Oh, good night. I'm gonna say good night to them.
Go ahead.
Hey, you want to say hi really quick? She wants to say hi really quick.
Hello. Hello. How are you?
Good.
Very good.
Do I ask him how old he is?
How old are you?
I'm 30.
Ask him how old you are in Danish. Okay.
I'm 5.
Oh, you're 5. How old are you? Yeah, I should ask him.
I'm a little snotty because I'm a little sick, but tomorrow I'm going to my grandma's.
Oh, very good. Have fun at your grandma's tomorrow.
She has 2 dogs.
Oh, that's nice.
Love you. I'll see you tonight. Little angel.
There you go.
Anyway, I thought about, so the story is Wayne and I started playing music together, and we were just like into the same music. And so we were very chorusy. And then at some point Wayne was too busy to play. And then I started playing with Nick. And then Nick was also very chorusy. And so we just became the
chorus trio.
Which is the chorus of chorus. And so now we play together, and well, not now because no one plays, but
right.
Like when this all happened, like we were doing like the 3 guitars in the band, a keyboard, and it was like really fun because it was like, again, you're playing with people you really like and
right.
making lots of guitar sounds, which is really fun.
And having similar sensibilities of how to play with the chorus too. Like if you're coming from that world of like felt, the church, like you kind of know how to play with it and how to make that nice jangle sound that like sounds so good.
Yeah, and I like really struggle with it. Sometimes like Wayne will still sometimes be like, no, you got to put this pedal before this pedal. And I'm like, yeah.
Oh,
shit.
yeah.
And he always makes me like, they're both very much smarter about that stuff. And like, they're both very clean in their sounds. Like I still am like always striving to like have a clean like guitar sound. And I just like cannot do it. I don't know why.
What's currently on your pedal board? What, and does it, I guess it does matter the order, I guess. I've never really thought about my order too much.
I think I always had it as like as like the tuner, then into delay, then into chorus. But Wayne was like, no, it's got to be chorus into delay. And I was doing like, I had 2 chorus pedals. So I was like going chorus. And then I had the jazz chorus amp. And so that I was like running the chorus. So I was
Triple
just like,
chorus.
I was way overdoing it, but I just wanted to. Okay. I just had to do it.
Did you think it really it helped with the sound having 2 different choruses? Would you play them at the same time, or are they 2 different style of chorus?
I just wanted more chorus.
Okay.
So I didn't want to like turn up the rate or whatever. Like
so it was more.
I want it to be like the middle on both, and I want it to be super chorusy. I did notice it was very much like fuller and very beautiful.
Yeah, totally.
The sound, not the playing.
More of like a stereo kind of chorus sound.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Was good.
So the church. Who else did you grow up listening to?
The things I grew up listening to are much like.
Yeah.
But the things that like have stayed with me. Like I was thinking about when I was 17. this like music sort of mentor bought me like a couple records when I was 17. So I don't remember what year that was, like 1998. So that, and the records he got me were Graham Parker, Replacements, Let It Be, and like what was the other one? Modern Lovers. And so like that was just like way beyond me at that time, but those are the things that like have sort of stuck with me, you know. But I think what the music that sort of like changed the way that I wrote songs, I think came from like when I worked at Amoeba. And like when you work at Amoeba, you can like, you have like a loan book, and you can sort of borrow anything used. And so at that time I was like making friends with people that like knew so much about music, like my friend Jessica. And like she would just be like, no, you're stupid. You need this Go-Betweens record. And I was like, oh.
Yes, you do. Yeah.
And so at that time, or like Cleaners from Venus, like those people from Amoeba, like at that time, like just like drop like Vashti Bunyan, Duncan Brown, like all this like different music that I wasn't aware of. Like they sort of like exposed me to that, and that sort of like I was like, oh, like that kind of songwriting. And so that sort of like altered the way I felt about music. And so, and that sort of like has stuck with me since then. And that was like 2004, almost 20 years ago.
How was working at Amoeba?
I mean, that was
Amoeba's iconic. The iconic. They're opening up again. Their new location.
I know. I was so sad because the closing of that store is like you said, iconic.
Yeah.
But like working there was like, it's just kind of like what you think it's gonna be like.
Yeah. What's the typical day? You clock in, then.
Yeah, you walk in and you're like surrounded by this like the great energy of people who love music, and people who are like a little bit like employees and customers who are just like all a little bit weird, and like it's a very personal place, right? Because someone has to come in and be like, do you have Hella Good by No Doubt? And you want to be like, that's a terrible song, but like you can't be like that. And so you have to be like, I still get anxiety asking at record stores for things, because I'm just like, oh my God, this record store person wants to know why I'm asking for like this thing, but maybe that's
yeah.
But I remember after working at Amoeba, I was like, oh, I can't be so snobby about music, because that's just like, that's so lame.
Right.
But it was super fun, super duper fun. Probably one of the best jobs I've ever had. And like,
were there any surprises? Like, oh, I'd never, like, this is far off than what I think I'd like. But then like, because someone suggested at Amoeba, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, actually.
Not really. Like, I'm sort of like, I like melodic music. Like, I've always liked melodic music. And so there are obviously things where people are like, oh man, you got to get into blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, okay, I'll check it out. And you're just like, I am just like really not into like, and I've at least been like very honest with myself that I'm just like, okay, that's just not my thing. Like, I'll never be a Rolling Stones guy. Like,
me neither.
Like, I don't think they're cool. Like, obviously they're the Rolling Stones, but like, I'm not like, oh yeah, Mick Jagger, look at him go. Like, and I'm not like, oh, look at that bluesy riff that they got cooked up. Like, I don't think that's interesting at all. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm always been more of the Beatles guy. If you're gonna go that conversation, Beatles versus Stones, I've definitely always been more of a Beatles guy. But I get the Rolling Stones, and I have heard some songs that I do like, but not enough to be like, oh yeah, let's dig into this record right now. Like,
I mean, there are good songs, but Sam is like, yeah.
There's always that moment too when you hear a song and you're like, oh, this is a good song. Who is this? And you like Shazam it, and you're like, oh fuck, it's the Rolling Stones.
Like,
damn it.
Rolling Stones.
I have to admit that I like one of their songs. God damn it.
But it's cool. Like, I'm gonna liken it to Red Hot Chili Peppers. So like the year that the Replacements played at Coachella, I was like, I gotta go. Like, I gotta go because I love the Replacements. And so I remember going, and they were like kind of lame at Coachella because like like Paul Westerberg had like pulled out his back, and so he was like lying down the whole time. And then Billy Joe from Green Day was like singing, and it was like really lame. Like I did not come to see this. But it still was like, you're like trying to convince yourself like, oh, well, I guess I saw a replacement show. And like,
totally.
I guess that's what it is. And so I remember me, my wife, and like a couple friends, we were like the Red Hot Chili Peppers were headlining, and I really don't like them. And I remember they were playing, and we're like, let's get out of here. Like, let's go home. Like, this is done.
Over. The night's over.
Yeah, it's over. Like, and so it was like way across we're right next to where they were playing, and we're like, now we have to go all the way across this huge field to get to the parking lot. And I just remember like it took forever. It took like 25 minutes, but every song they played was a hit song.
Yes.
and when you're trying to escape Coachella, you end up like having to like dance your way. Yeah, you're just like, give it away.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, now ever since then, I've had like a new appreciation for Red Hot Chili Peppers as just like, you can't deny it. They're just like, they existed. They're a band, and love them or hate them, they are their own thing. And no band sounds like them, thankfully.
That's for sure. Yeah. No, I kid you not. I went to Outside Lands in San Francisco with a friend, and we were there all day, and I was like, it's time to go, man. I'm tired. And then we're passing the main stage and Red Hot Chili Peppers. I was like, oh, I know this song. This song plays on, I'm not going to say classic rock. Classic rock. It's like, Santa Barbara, KJE, and your alternative rock, And I was like, damn, okay, this song is pretty funny. Let's say for another. And then every song, I was like, holy shit, I really do know every song of theirs. Either I wanted to or I didn't want to. Like, I know them because they're so popular. And they're fucking great, man. I don't know. I thought they were really good live. I haven't listened to them since, but good festival music, man. Yeah, now exactly. I'm converted. Yeah.
But you also realize, like, I grew up in the '90s, right? So I'm always trying to think like, man, '90s music sucks. Like I always think '90s music sucks, and I try to remember like what is '90s music, and I think like I hate '90s music because like you sort of like cringe at a teenage version of yourself, and so you're just like, anything that's gonna remind me of being a teenager, like I'm gonna put in a box and like hate it. But the Red Hot Chili Peppers, like how come their songs are like the songs of my childhood? Like how come? Like I never listened to them. Like how come like Under the Bridge or like all these songs? Should we just spend the next hour just talking about Red Hot Chili Peppers?
But I will say this, that's true. I love 90s music, but I was also a very young kid in the 90s. So I remembered it, but I remember it fondly. So when I think of the best decade of music, I always said in the past, oh, it's the 90s. Like got Pavement, you got all these other great bands in the 90s. And even some of the popular stuff like Blind Melon was I used to love that song, and New Radicals. Big New Radicals fan, right? So it's always it's different. I know, and then and I'll take it. And but every decade's like that. I kind of realize, depending on who you talk to, it's always like, oh, that was like my dad's obsessed with the 80s. Like I'm sure his parents were obsessed with the 60s and the 70s. Like it's always like that. It's like you said. I think it's being reminded of yourself, and really you're cringing at yourself, not the music. Like. Yeah,
and you just think of
that's happening now. Like Y2K is coming back. All these kids who weren't really there are romanticizing the early 2000s. And for me, and that's when I was in junior high, that's the worst time. Nothing was cool.
What is that music?
Y2K is like Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake, like when they were dating. What else? Smash Mouth. Smash Mouth's like late 90s, early 2000s. Like I can't tell if it's like for the meme, for the irony, or if it's like, but most of this revivalist stuff is for the irony, I think, at the end of the day. But I don't know. That's the next wave. And emo music. Emo's also coming back. And for me, I couldn't stand that stuff in high school.
Yeah.
But I get it. It's time to romanticize the past. I get it.
Yeah. I feel like, it's kind of always time, right?
Right. I guess the 90s are done. I had 10 years. It basically lasted 10 years, that revival, and I think it's done, and now we're moving on to Y2K. I don't know.
That is crazy.
That is crazy. And my sister's of that age where she didn't see 9/11. So it's like something that just happened in the past. And it's like, can we talk about that? What'd you do that day? She's asking me what I did that day. I was like, I went to 6th grade that day. Like,
you're like, I'll never forget.
I'll never forget where I was getting ready for the 6th grade. You know,
we had a big math test that day.
But I get it. I appreciate it, man. Oh, speaking of Outside Lands announced they're coming back this October for Halloween. With the pandemic and all that, are you looking forward to shows coming back, or will you attend a show in October?
Will I attend a show? I think, well, like, I mean, I miss, like, I'm sort of like, I could see myself sort of being anxious around, like, oh, too many people. Ooh.
Right.
But I think if, when I get a vaccine, I'll probably chill out a little bit, because I really do miss, like, being in small places and being close to people. You know what I mean? Like, I miss, like, or like hugging a friend that you don't have to wonder, like, how many people did you see in the last minute? Like,
yeah.
like, who's in your pod? Like, all that shit. But like music, I mean, I definitely don't like festivals.
Right.
And they have like Roskilde Festival in Denmark. And so I don't know if I would just be like, oh man, I really want to get back into a big live show, because I actually kind of hate live music.
Right.
And kind of like don't want to stand around watching someone, but I also like probably just would like to go to a show,
Have you always been like that, or is that something that's coming along as you get older? It's just like, too much.
No, I think I've always sort of hated live music. I mean, I think in my 20s, I think I just did, because I think maybe like, we go to lots of shows and then we're just like, I don't want to see this.
Get burnt out. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you just go like, oh God, I don't want to. But sometimes you see a good show. I'm trying to think like what was the last good show. I mean, The Replacements, sorry to say it again, but like when they played at the Palladium, they just like played all the hits.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that was like such a fun show. Or like seeing like Destroyer play, like they put on a great show. Or like, I'm trying to think of like a good. I saw something really good that I was like, oh, that was really good. But I don't remember. But
right.
It would be good to see like a good live band,
Yeah. I've been thinking about a lot of different things, like about that initial going back into a venue and it's full of people and it's like are we gonna, I don't know, I'm still gonna wear a mask. I like that I didn't get a cold this year. I like that I didn't get the flu or the cold. Like I'm gonna keep the mask on probably in large crowds still. Like I don't know what you got, and especially if I'm sick, I'm putting the thing on because I don't want to get anybody else the cold,
Right. Yeah, I mean,
these new social rules.
Yeah, you're probably right. Like, I probably would. Like, I think about going, like, taking my daughter to like Disneyland this summer.
Right.
And I'm just like, I would really like to take her there and experience that, but like, I mean, they're going to be on limited capacity as well, so it's like, I don't know. I think I do get anxious about those things, but also sometimes I just like go full like block it out and just go like, whatever happens is going to happen. Like, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll have to see. Yeah. We'll have to see. No one really knows, so don't feel too bad. But like,
I mean, it depends. Like at that time, like how bad is the whatever mutation's going around?
Right.
Like, because if it's like something that they're accustomed to and know how to treat, and they're like not a lot of people are, dying or being hospitalized from it, then like you just kind of like will probably roll the dice and just be like, Disneyland's worth it, man.
Disneyland's worth it, yeah.
The
churros, man. The churros.
The bread bowls, yeah.
The bread bowl. The turkey leg.
Yeah.
We'll take it. Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, about the Beatles,
Yeah.
what do you think about the Beatles now? Like, what as like, now that you're more of an adult and now you're like,
And I've gotten more into songwriting and like understanding how difficult it was to tour that much and still produce a quality of songs that's just like unmatched. Like,
right.
I don't know how the fuck they did that. I can't write songs on tour. Like, I'm exhausted and I have to think about the next show. I don't know when you have time or the energy to be like, oh, let me play more guitar today. Let me hear more music today. Like,
You have to do that in a Beatles accent, though.
oh yeah.
How am I gonna do more?
More, yeah. So I think about that and I'm like, oh, I have no idea how they did it, man. Like,
Yeah, but they probably also were hugely supported by like their managers.
the hotels were paid, the vans were paid. Like, they didn't have to think about like, oh, are we selling enough tickets in fucking Kansas this week? Like,
you have to do the accent though. If you're gonna do a Beatles voice or a Beatles inner thought, or maybe they think in an American accent. But I always thought that, people are always like, are you a George, a Ringo, a John? And I always thought that like, oh yeah, Paul writes the good songs, but then it was like, oh, but Paul's such a Paul.
Yeah, totally.
And then you're like, I think when you're in your 30s, you're like, John, you're just like, he writes from the heart.
Right.
He speaks truth. And then like when you get in your late 30s, you're a little bit like, but it's George. Because he was like.
And now that you're in your 40s, you're like, maybe it's Ringo with Peace and Love.
I do want to say I went like this, that's the Ringo, but I meant the George because he was like, this shall pass.
Totally.
But like, yeah, maybe when I'm in my 40s, I will be Ringo and just be like, who cares, man? Write me a song.
You know what? I always shout out the one Ringo record that I've really like listened to front to back, and mainly because, John wrote a song on it, George wrote a song on it, and Paul wrote a song on it. So it's like, oh, it's a Beatles record. Basically.
It's the first one, right?
It's like, yeah, the like first or second one. It has the star.
Photograph on it?
Yeah, with Photograph. Yeah. That one's the best.
Yeah, Photograph. Photograph's a great song too.
Totally.
Yeah. But I think it is. I think it is John.
I think it is John too. John's always been my favorite. I even give his solo records that people are like, ugh, that's not a good solo record.
Like Walls and Bridges or whatever.
That's my favorite one.
Yeah.
Well, people would consider there's some duds on Mind Games. Aside from Mind Games, the actual song, like the rest of the record, might be considered forgettable. But like,
Mind Games.
Yeah, it's great.
My Intuition is like one of my favorite John Lennon songs.
Yeah.
But yeah, the George Harrison stuff. I didn't like really do a deep dive until like more recently. No, but like the later for my Beatles inner collection.
Cloud 9, where he's kind of like with the sunglasses and it's like kind of dad rock.
There's some cool like soft rock stuff that George was doing. I really like. Those Beatles. He's on to something. So what are you listening to now? What do you?
Oh man, I've been listening to the people on this podcast. Anytime I get a guest, every time I get a guest, I'm like, okay, now it's Devon Williams mode, and I just listen to you when I'm at the gym, prepping, thinking.
Yeah.
But I've been lucky to get some cool guests. Like Ron Sexsmith is awesome. I don't know if you've listened to him. He's a great songwriter from Canada. I've really got to dig deep into his catalog. Who else came on recently? Yeah, lots of people, lots of memorable guests, as you can tell.
But like, what if you like who? I'm not gonna ask you like who would you want to interview, because I think that you're a music lover, obviously, but like, as a music lover and not like a content.
Right. Content.
But like
king.
what? Yeah, content king. What do you?
You know what? You know what's funny is I thought about this. I went on somebody else's podcast and they asked me, who's like your dream guest? And it took me forever to like think about it. But then I didn't have an answer. I was like, let me get back to you on it. But now I thought about it. Dude, I want to talk to Liam Gallagher. Wouldn't that be fucking crazy?
Well, he's so
nuts. Yeah. So I would love to hear him with the, get drunk, have a point. He tweeted some fucking crazy shit. He tweeted at 6 a.m. Today feels like a good day to get wankered in a pub, like pub in all caps. I'm like, all right, hell yeah, that is hilarious. I don't know. I'm assuming very drunk. Yeah.
I think, yeah. I mean, like, what was the last record that you were just like, that you just like want to just like put on and just like only like just sit down and just like listen to it? Like have you? When was the last time you go, I'm gonna like go home or I'm gonna go put this record on and like read the lyrics to it and just be like, just be honest.
That's a good
question, man.
Look around.
I'm looking at my record. I don't know. I don't have that answer for you, man. I feel like I've been really detached from music recently. Like
I think I was too, and like something happened where not something happened. It's like so dramatic. I think I wanted to like I felt like I don't know what it was, but I was just like everything I'm saying is a lie. I was really into Bebop Deluxe, which is like this like sort of proggy, sort of glammy, like post proto like guitar band from the 70s.
Cool.
And I was like really like the songs are like really crazy and like flamboyant and extravagant, and I was like, I just really like I remember just being very excited to like I wanted to go home and just like read all these like sort of like cryptic poetic lyrics, and I like really highly recommend it because not maybe specifically for them just because like the music is so wild and also it's my version of wild. It's probably not like it's like not Melt Banana wild, but it's right. But like they're just so and he plays guitar and sing like they're a three-piece, and so and it's just like so like one person's idea of music and his lyrics are really strong, and so I just remember that being like something that really like got me like re-energized to like sit down and enjoy music. That's what I want to say. Is like
crazy.
I want to take time to like just sit down and like have coffee and just like listen to this, or like drink some wine and all night and just like listen to records by myself. Like that is like the thing.
That's something I used to do when I was younger, but I feel like I've lost that along the way.
Yeah.
Now I feel like I don't want, I don't know, at least for me, I'm like, I should like stay away from new music. I don't really want to be influenced by anything my friends are putting out or like anything from the past, because I was DJing right before the pandemic, and I was DJing several times a week, listening to, a lot of stuff, but like one song at a time, never listening to the full record. Maybe one song off this record, another song off this record, and like I had a flow. And DJing in itself is an art where I know these two songs will sound good together, so then I just associate those two songs together all the time now. And I don't know, I just feel like my music listening habits have been weird, been kind of like,
but also that like changes your like, and sort of in a good way, like that could change like your songwriting, right? Because like if I'm like, you have to sit down and listen to a full record and read the lyrics, then like I'm gonna think it's important to write lyrics in a record, and it's important for me. But like your experience may have been like hit after hit. Yeah. And that would make probably a more interesting record than me who's saying like, in a Spotify world, please listen to my entire record. Like
in its entirety from start to finish. Yeah. No, yeah. I find I was even going to release a record. I was just going to release singles because that's kind of like where my head's been. And I was like, how do I do that? Like, what's the music model for that? Because I feel like
that's probably smarter, right?
Probably where it's going, but like ended up being finding mainly because I didn't have a label. I was like, okay, there's no label. I'm not gonna press these vinyl. I don't have money to press it into vinyl and make it a full realized project. So maybe I'll just do singles, make it a digital kind of thing. But then a label did come forward. Hey, we'll put this out, and I'm like, okay, now it's back to being an album. And but definitely I never thought of it that way. So it kind of felt like I was writing just for single. And
it's kind of cool though.
It's kind of cool. I don't know. I don't know if I would like everyone doing that though. Like I feel like I would still miss the excitement of an album release, of all that.
Yeah.
And if we all just did singles, I don't think it would be as interesting, as fun. But that, I don't think it will. I think there'll always be a place for the album. People will always want to put out albums.
But what about like in the 60s when it was all about putting out singles, and
right, the 50s and
bands
60s,
were just like, and if they couldn't get enough like songs together, or like didn't have a big enough hit, they couldn't do a record. And even bands, some were like, oh, we're just gonna do singles. And some bands didn't even want to do records, but like, I wonder if it could go.
If I was 20 years old right now and I was just starting this band, because I started this band when I was 20 and I'm 30 and I've been doing it for a long time. If I was to do it all again now, but I was living in today's time, yeah, I wouldn't put out. Maybe I'd put out an EP, but like I would honestly just be putting out song after song after song, like until I build something. Where is it all going? Where do you think it's going? Where would you like to see it go?
I don't know.
Yeah.
So I put out Slumberland put out the last record, we put it out, and like that's a record, right? And so I just go, there's a record that's done, and like, do people like, I don't buy new records, like I'm not buying new bands' music, so why do I think like someone's gonna go out and buy my record? So that's like a little bit of a conflict there, and then for this last thing, it's an EP, and I think I was like sort of testing myself, because I think I didn't believe that there was any value in a digital release. So I did this thing, and I think just to see how it felt, because I think I was feeling like, I think this is like where it's going, or like to maybe more to be like, to sort of like break that idea that I have that music has to be out on vinyl to be music. And that's like just not true, because like nobody thinks that. Like no, like maybe like me and you and like like Jessica, like
the people who love the culture, the vinyl culture.
And if we're making music for a vinyl culture, like we're idiots.
Yeah, totally.
Because like that's not what there's like a service that you can make one record for $100. They'll make one record for you. Like you're just better off doing that and just being like, here's my record. But I sometimes think like it's probably just better just to like make a collection of music and just like put it out there digitally. But then I also think like there are records that are not on Spotify, not on Apple Music, like singer-songwriter stuff from the 70s that you cannot find online. And there's like something of value to that. There's something of like, oh, it's not like been cheapened. Like it's not something you can just like put on and like scroll through or click and just be like boring track. Like to find the music, you like it sort of will have like a built-in like appreciation and value, because it's a tangible thing. And so I sometimes think the opposite. Then like maybe you don't release it at all digital, and you just have like a thing. You just have 500 records in your closet, and you're just like, do you have an old phonograph?
Right.
Like I don't know. It depends what like your goal is. Like, is your goal to like have people hear your songs? Like then play shows. Like I don't know.
I mostly buy records at shows. Like I saw a show, I'm like, hey, that was a good band. Let me go look at the merch booth. Oh, cool. Yeah, $20. I got $20 in my pocket. Like, let me get that record. Like, and then I come home and I listen to it, be like, wasn't as good. No.
I understand.
They're better live. I don't know.
Yeah, and also when you're at a show, you're like, I don't know, maybe had a couple drinks,
right?
Or like, So it
happens.
That's a hard one, but yeah.
Yeah, I had an ex tell me once, she was like, here's your problem. You idolize all these artists, like Harry Nilsson and Tim Buckley, all these random artists that people have forgotten about. You idolize them to the point where that's going to happen to you. You know that, right? And I was like, because she's like, you love those stories of those forgotten songwriters, and you think that's gonna be you, and you're gonna get up on that stage, and you're gonna be 50 years old, and you're the big star reunion. You're a big star, and I was like, yeah, I don't know. Do I think that way? Fuck. Like, do you think about that kind of stuff? Do you idolize artists like that?
Was she saying like? Was she saying that
in a negative way? You should be shooting for more than just your ultimate dream is being this forgotten band, and then I'll come out when I'm in my 50s or 60s, and now people appreciate my records. Like,
I don't know. Like, I love. Like, I can say very like honestly, like I just love like good songs. That may like sound a certain way. So I love like hunting down music, or like using like finding something on Spotify that I wouldn't find, or like YouTube links or whatever, or like friends recommending something, or like looking at a cover at a record store. Like I love just like finding a great song. And so when I think of, and then you find a record and you're like, who is like let me try and think of something like who are these musicians?
Yeah, like Cleaners from Venus is one of the best examples, I think, of the last like maybe 5 years. Like more. I see every band in LA had a cover of like Only a Shadow at one point. You know?
Yeah. But like, I'm trying to think of like something like so like unnecessarily obscure that's like that you're just like, what is the story here? I'm just like looking at my playlist. Like, okay, let's talk about like Randy Burns. Okay, so this is like I don't know how I randomly found this guy. It's like a very like sweet singer-songwriter, earnest, and like very like intimate, and the music is so melodic. So like, first of all, you're just like, how are these not like, how is it not more well known? Like, how is this person? And so I think of that, and I just think like music is just like found. Like, if you just like make music, like, and if it becomes like tangible, if you put out music, someone will find it someday. Right. And so, I mean, that's definitely not why I make music, to be found. I think I like write music because I have this idea, and I'm just like, I'm gonna like chase that idea until I complete it. But like I think the reason why I'm okay with just like releasing music and not like not expecting anything in return is because it's just like, it's done, it's out there. Like, someone will find it, and like I don't really care who it is, but
right,
I know that because I look for it. So I'm not the only one like myself.
Totally.
So, and whatever, like, if it's in 20 years, like, who cares? Like who cares? Like,
who cares?
Like,
yeah.
Like, the Rodriguez movie is just like, I mean, obviously there's some like falsehoods there, but like that story, or like that legend of that is like, that's such a cool little story. And totally. Cleaners from Venus, like, I actually like lived in, like, this isn't a sort of embarrassing story because okay. I had access. When I lived in London, I was also like email friends with Martin Newell. And so we would email back and forth. And when I lived in London, I was like, you know what? I live in London. Like, I want to come to your town, and I want to like make a documentary about you. And so he was like, okay, come. And so I went, and for 2 days, like, we shot, and I interviewed him all over. Like, I interviewed him. He showed me where he recorded. It's really like, it's embarrassing because I've never done anything with it.
Oh.
And I have this footage, and like, he was so like gracious to like let me into his world, and like, and I just like have not a little bit of the audio, I think. And also, I was at the time, I was very limited in my Avid video. So I was just like, I don't want anyone to fuck with this. Like, I want to do this. And so in the time since then, I've learned it. But like, he very much let me in, showed me where he recorded all their albums. We even, like, the woman was like, oh, you used to record here? Come in. And he was like, whoa, I haven't been in this house in like 20 years.
Whoa.
And so like, we were there, and it was really cool. And like, and he's just a guy that just like has kept making music and like never really stopped to look back on it. And I think like that's such a cool way to be, because and when they got when they got their resurgence, he was like, oh, like, okay, how about I just like make more Cleaners from Venus records? And so like he just like kept doing it, and he's still doing it, like,
Yeah.
So he's awesome, and
That's amazing.
That's cool.
That's amazing. Like, and so now you have this footage. Like, do you think you're gonna try and finish it and just put it up on YouTube? People would love to watch that.
I know it's like a very dumb, like, selfish thing. I totally should do it.
What year did you do that in?
I really shouldn't say because it's a long time ago. But it was like 2012 or 13.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, since then he's like, people have done documentaries with him and actually put it out. But I think there was some there, because I saw those and those were very cool. Yeah. But like there was something different about like what we had. We had something different. No, but I also, when I lived in London, I also, because like I'm like sort of fanatic about like those like obscure like English songwriters from 60s, 70s, 80s. And so I also tracked down this, are you familiar with the band Honey Bus?
No.
So they're like a really great like 60s group.
Cool.
And the singer guy, his name's Pete Dello, and he has like such an awesome voice. He's like, his voice is like, to like a lay person, he sounds like Paul McCartney.
Cool.
Right? But he's like a little bit like, it's like very more like sweet and up close, and he's just got such a great voice. And so I just like became a like huge fanatic for like Pete Dello music, and my friend Sean would like give me his records, and like we would just share music. And so when I lived in England, like I was like, why, like, where is he? Like, why can I not find him? And so I just like, I did some like a little bit of like research, and I was like, oh, I found out his real last name, which I don't remember. And then I Googled that, and then I saw that there was nothing coming up in the Google searches. And then so finally something came up about a teacher of music theory or something like that at this university in England. And so I logged into the school, like school's database, and was like, hey, are you Pete Dello? And he was like, what? And it was him. And he like met me at a library, and I like got to interview him for like 2 hours, and I never did anything with it. I think it's because I would like selfishly talk to these guys in a ruse of like, hey, I'll make something for you. And like, but I really just wanted to sit and talk to Pete Dello about like skiffle and like it was like so awesome to talk to him. And like, I can now say I've like talked to someone, or like had a long conversation with someone whose music I like really, really love.
That's kind of the vibe of the podcast, man. Like if I just had like some of these artists that I talked to, if I was like, hey man, can I talk on the phone with you for like an hour? They'd be like, what the fuck? I'm busy. Like I got shit to do. It's like, well, what if it's recorded? And what if we talked about your album and it had,
I mean, dude, are you familiar with the band Nirvana, the 60s Nirvana band?
Oh, the 60s Nirvana one. Yeah.
So they're another band that I'm like, whoa, this like the 60s band Nirvana, their song Pentecost Hotel, like that song like changed my world. And so actually something for LA Record one year where they interviewed him for something, and my friend was like, do you want to come like have drinks with like the singer and I was like, oh yeah. And so I remember going and like being like playing it like really cool. And I remember I was like, it was like totally casual setting. I was like, what's the song blah 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 about? And he's like, I can't tell you.
Oh.
And I was like, oh. And he was like, I can never tell what that song's about. And I just remember being like, oh, that was my one chance to ask a question. I fucking blew it. But yeah.
Well, I love it, man. That's so cool. Okay, let's talk about the record, your new record, and we'll wrap it up.
Go.
So it's out now. What was the EP? Were these songs from the same session as the album, or are these completely different songs that you just recorded?
I think I was like, what can I do musically that I think I really was like, did I record these songs like the right way? So there's 2 songs from the record. Peace Now and Out of Time that I was like, are these the right versions of the songs? Like I was like, they sound a certain way. And so I sort of like took apart the tracks and then put them back together in a different way. And I was like, oh, I think, like, cause one of them was about my dad. And I was like, it didn't feel like it didn't feel like the right message for me. And I wanted to like play it. I wanted to like enjoy playing it, and it just didn't feel like the right. And so for Out of Time and that song, and then during working on those songs, because like I sort of like just sit and like work on song, and then I sort of like came up. That's when we were moving here to Denmark, and so that's when I came up with this like came up with. That's when the song Across the Ocean sort of came, because it was like, because that's what it was about. But like that to me felt like a very, like in a long time, that just felt like a very effortless song that was like very like I didn't have to try hard, and I didn't have to try anything. I just like said how I felt, and I think it like the words came out, and I just like really appreciated the simplicity of that. And then the other song La 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 was from Euphoria, and I think we had just been playing it for so long, and it just had changed how it sounded, and I was like, oh, maybe that was like the right way to record it. So I think that the EP was not made to be like, this is the right way, but it like came out of my like perfectionism or wanting things, or like having to explain, like it's just like wanting to get it right, like right, because like when I write a song, I'm just like, it's gonna sound this way, and I'll be like, no, that's the wrong verse, and I'll like, that's why it took me 4 years to mix the record. It's because I have this idea of how it should sound, and so I think these songs are like the right way, and now I can move on.
Now you can move on. So now that you're moving on, are you writing right now in the lockdown? Like,
yeah. So I think I wrote to Mike from Slumberland today, and like he's always so busy because he's like a real person, and I was like, I want to put out a record in January, and he was like, he's kind of like, I think he was kind of like, he knows me, and he's like, you say January, I think you mean August. But like, I really want to like get on it, because like it doesn't have to take a long time to make a record, and I'm just like feeling, I'm really feeling this, like I'm feeling very like musical.
So we're talking January 2022.
Yeah, but that probably won't happen. But I'm really like, I really enjoy writing music, and like I really am enjoying these songs, and so I'm just like, I really want to just like, for them, for
the tracks, how to
for the songs, I just want to like do it for them,
and trying to find studio time, like how.
Don't do studio.
Do studio. Do it at home, but like, to record drums and all that. Is that?
Yeah. Don't do studio. Go to Alan's house.
Okay.
Go to Alan's basement. Wear a mask. He'll put them on Logic for you. You take the tracks home. You'll add the tracks on. You'll work on it. You'll call Scott Cornish. You'll say, "Hey, buddy, can you help me mix these?" And he'll make sure I got a couple minutes. He'll send you a mix, and then you send them off to master. And then
there you go. And then it's done. Yeah. Oh, that's easy.
You gotta pay him. You gotta pay him.
Of course. Yeah. People must be paid. Yeah.
People
must be paid, except for the artists. You're kind of the last person who gets paid.
I'm paid in enjoyment. Yeah.
Well, hell yeah, man. Okay, let's wrap this up. What's the best way for people to support Devon Williams in this moment?
Just to like send me an email.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't want to give you my email. Not you. You have my email. But like, I don't know. Just like reach out. That's what. That's all I care about. Just like reach out.
Okay.
I don't have like Twitter. I don't. My Facebook. I'm already banned from my Facebook.
Oh wow.
My Instagram is not working. So like, I don't know. Just like reach out to me. Like
reach out.
Talk about music.
The album, you can buy the album from slumberland.com, or what can we do? How can we get the record?
Yeah, I think Bandcamp is like the most like efficient way to do it. But yeah, you can get in touch with me via Bandcamp or Slumberland or whatever.
Hell yeah.
Like, let's just talk about it.
I love it. Well, dude,
cool.
thanks some Cool. Well, dude, thanks so much for talking to me, man.
Yeah, thanks. And I'll send you some, since you're a music lover, I'll send you some cool stuff because.
Yeah, I wrote down Randy Burns.
Yeah, write down this one too. This is like the guy for me, Angelo Branduardi, like this Italian folk guy.
Okay. How do you spell his last name?
Brand, like Coca-Cola, brand.
Right.
Branduardi, Uardi, Brand, Angelo Brand. You see it? There you go.
Oh yeah, Branduardi. Okay, cool, sweet.
Yeah, this album is amazing. All right.
Awesome. Hell yeah, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, man. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too.
All right.